Let's Chat.
On Talk Radio 102.3, Monday through Friday from high noon until 1 o'clock, you get to hear our next guest here. So we wanted to take them out of the radio and put them in the TV studio. From Evergreen Advisors, it is Jamie O'Donnell and Jim Place. Jamie, Jim, good to see you both.
Thank you.
I listen to your show a little bit every day, and I was kind of fascinated by something I heard you all talking about a few days ago. I want to begin with something a little bit more recent. A couple of the talking heads said, well, gas is on the way back down, so that means the end of inflation. What are your thoughts? True, false, somewhere in between?
Not quite.
Not quite?
No, not near.
What do we need to be looking for, and why are these talking heads saying that?
Well, I would think, part of it is gas has come down.
Right.
And we feel that daily. But if you looked at the report that came out, food prices had gone up, housing prices had gone up. So you still have areas that are increasing, while at the same time, gas is coming down.
So it kind of a wash coming out in favor of the bigger guys, not us folks on Main Street.
Think about it, Chip. I saw the president the other day come out and talk about the fact that inflation was 0 for the month of July. Well, I think about that for just a second. A bag of apples was $5 a year ago. A bag of apples is $8 today. It was $8 in June, and it's still $8 in July, which means inflation for apples that month was 0. Except apples are $3 a bag more expensive than they were a year ago. And the truth is, when it comes to inflation, if your take-home pay is $15,000 a month, inflation's a minor irritation.
Yeah.
If your take-home pay is $2,500 a month, it's an economic disaster.
Bigger irritation.
Big time. Big.
I want to venture into something I heard you all talking about also pertaining to the workplace, and I tried to write this down as best I could. But the essential quote was, more and more workers today are not settling for a hostile work environment and inferior job progress. Why is that? Do you remember where you got that from? Because I remember I called you not long after that. I love that. I don't know where you got it. But it's like more and more workers are not putting up with the crap at work they used to do.
Well, I think a lot of it, Chip, is the employees have more power now. We have the labor shortage. Employees have the ability to change jobs, change careers for a variety of different reasons. I don't know that the hostility or for whatever reasons are there, that they're new, but there's more ability to change. And I also think people have more time to reflect on it during COVID.
Yeah, I would say that's probably a good
Well, there are a lot of people in the service industry and the restaurant industry that realized when their restaurant shut down how hard their work was relative to what they were getting paid. And during that reflection period, they decide, I'm not going to be a server anymore.
Yeah, and even right here in Chattanooga, there's a ton of businesses that still haven't recovered from the labor shortage. Do you see the workplace situation getting better for the workers, getting better maybe for the company owners and the bosses?
I think if this labor market continues to be tight, employers will be forced to be better because employees will continue to have more choice.
Repeat that again. I think it merits repeating.
Employers will be forced to be better as long as we have a tight labor market.
Well, think about it like in golf, where you've got the new golf entity, LIV. LIV is going to force the PGA to be more competitive within the framework of the PGA.
Right.
It ebbs and flows. Right now, the employee, I think, has an advantage. That will be cyclical in its nature as labor markets change.
I'm not going to ask you about the golf slice we talked about earlier.
No,
I'm not going to do that. The way this economy has been going for the past, pick a period of time, a year, looking to a year down the road, do you think there's ever going to be a safe spot for savings and investments for the common folks like us? A really safe spot. If you do, great. If you don't, that's fine too.
A safe spot?
Yeah. Or maybe a lower risk spot. I'll put it like that. I know as a financial advisor, you don't want to use the word safe when it comes to investments like that. But where do you think would be a little bit more conservative or a little bit more risk averse?
I think you have to make a trade-off in, first of all, are you going to be an investor? Are you going to own stocks and bonds? Or are you going to be what we call a saver? Meaning you keep your money in cash. Now the downside to that is inflation.
Sure.
Eats away at your purchasing power over time. So I wouldn't use the word safe, but I think balanced, practical investing is safer over the long run than maybe people think.
Sure. And I think I've heard Jim preach over the years, pick any 20-year cycle out of the stock market, it always ends on an up note for the investor.
Well, and I think the investor also has to realize, even when you retire, a person retires at 65, their wife or spouse is 62. They got a joint life expectancy of 30 years.
Right.
The idea that you're going to cease to be an investor and cease to pay attention to inflation over a 25 or 30-year period of time just because it's the last 25 or 30 years of your life really doesn't make much sense. And if you also think, Chip, you have a certain amount of money in an investment portfolio, even when you start the drawdown of that portfolio, it's probably not going to be at a rate of more than 3 or 4% a year.
Right.
It's not like you're taking your $500,000 portfolio and you're cashing 100% of it out on one particular day.
Sure. Jim, Jamie, we are out of time. Good to see you. You can find out more about what they do each and every day. Check them out on the radio. Talk Radio 102.3 starting at 12 noon, going until 1 o'clock, or their company website, which is evergreenadvisors.com. Again, evergreenadvisors.com. They're located out on Point Center Drive. Hope y'all will come back over the coming weeks. We'll throw some more cards on the table and see what happens. You up for it?
Sure.
Come on,
Thanks,
sound
Chip.
a little more enthusiastic. I'll ask you about the golf thing next time. We'll be right back.